Standing nearly 10 feet tall, it is vaguely humanoid in shape. Its body is composed of a horrid fusing of rotten flesh and grafted metal. Its eyes are glowing balls of malevolent red light emanating from deep metal sockets. Its skeletal mouth hangs partially slack, held in place by large rivets and screws, with black ichor dripping from it. It has 3 mechanical arms, one that resembles a human hand, another tipped with a massive syringe, and another that ends in a large, rusty, circular saw blade. It doesn't speak. It looms there, menacing, and then with a deafening screech, the bladed arm whirs to life, its toothed edge spinning rapidly and sending sparks flying from the twisted machinery that powers it. Hi, I'm Peter, creator and lead designer of Tales from Elsewhere, and today we're going to be talking about the Blood Oilers, one of the most fearsome threats that stalk the Ruination within the first campaign setting of Tales from Elsewhere called Clockworld. So let's dive in and take a look at the lore and mechanics of this terrifying monstrosity. Let's start off with the inspirations for the creature. I am a big fan of Terminator, and I also like slasher films, and so I wanted a creature that evoked that unstoppable feeling that a Terminator has or Jason does. You know, when it's stalking you and coming at you, try as you might, you just can't seem to kill it until it gets its hands on you and tears you apart. So I wanted something that wasn't like a big boss monster, right? Something that's a grand set piece, but something that would still terrify the players and make them really apprehensive to fight it, and maybe make them want to flee. With that inspiration in mind, I needed to think of a way to include them within the post-apocalyptic Weird West setting that is Clockworld. So I like to include themes of industries and concepts that were really prevalent in the 19th century, so the oil industry definitely came to mind. So the idea would be is that these be undead cybernetic monstrosities with a evil oil pumping through their veins instead of blood that has reanimated them and turned them into these monsters. And that really connects it to that industrial revolution feeling, right? The stripping the earth of its resources and pumping oil out of the ground and how dangerous that was. So these creatures would then be connected to that aspect of the late 19th century with, you know, a Weird West twist because they're cybernetics. So I like to leave the how and why of monsters a little bit ambiguous for the players as well as the GM. To really define something too much is to make it mundane. And so with the Blood Oilers, no one really knows how they got started, where they originally came from, how that process originated. But what they do know now is that the Blood Oilers can make more of themselves. When they take their victims back to their lairs, they can turn them into more Blood Oilers. But apart from that, the origins of this affliction, of these horrifying creatures, is not known to the players. But what is known is that whoever that person was before they were turned into a Blood Oiler is long gone now. Any of their mind and sanity and who they were, that's been destroyed and replaced only with this evil malevolence, this predatory instinct to attack and maim and then steal and abduct those people back to their lairs to create more. The Blood Oilers know no fear or pity or other human emotion. You can't bribe them or reason with them. All you can hope to do is to destroy them to stop their rampage. It's a chance for the players to interact with something truly malevolent. There is no moral ambiguity when it comes to the Blood Oilers. They must be stopped at all costs. So now that we have this cool, evocative idea for a creature, well, let's talk about the mechanics behind it. How do we get some of that evocation into the game? So the Blood Oiler has a number of passive features built in that would replicate this. So to be a Terminator, I'm going to want it to be somewhat resistant to injury. So we'll make it so, you know, trying to shoot it or stab it or slash it with basic weapons might not be the most efficient way. They'll be resistant to injuries. That'll help. Also, they will be immune to things like fear and pain. That will replicate that unfeeling menace that they have. And I think they would be immune to going into the dying condition too. So normally in Tales from Elsewhere games, if you have a lethal injury, you begin dying. You drop down and can only crawl and hope that you get saved by somebody. But I feel like with the Blood Oilers, even if they have a lethal injury, they'd still keep coming at you. You know, you shoot them with the shotgun and half their head falls off, and then they still keep advancing on you with their saw blade. So that seems like a good mix of core passive features, core attributes for the Blood Oiler. So let's talk about its attacks, its means of harming the players. So the saw blade is a natural place to start. So with that, we're just going to make it a really deadly strike, right? It's going to inflict very painful injuries, so we'll add the agonized condition to any injuries it inflicts. And I think if it's a critical injury or higher, it'll also maim the character. It'll remove the limb entirely, saw it straight off. And I've added this mechanism where if it does that, it's so gruesome and so terrifying that anybody nearby has a frighten afflict rolled against them that will strain them and terrify them as they see it, because it's just that gruesome and that bloody. So next, let's do the grabbing hand. This one is going to be a fairly straightforward restrain afflict. An afflict is a action that puts a status effect on somebody, a condition. In this case, it's going to immobilize them and make them start suffocating. I imagine this big robotic hand reaches out and grabs you by the neck and lifts you off the ground. And so you would start suffocating immediately, which strains you every turn and can make you pass out. And I'm going to set the difficulty to break free of this very high. It'll be inhuman rank to escape this because this arm is so strong. What that means is a lot of characters won't be able to break free on their own. No matter how high they roll, they won't be able to get a 14 or higher. That's because these threats should be very dangerous, and even one or two of them in the scene should require coordination to take down. So while it's suffocating you like that, you need your friends to come and break the arm or pry you free. So lastly is its syringe arm. Now this is its means of abduction. If the syringe injures you, it injects you with that oil that it pumps through its body, which seals all of your wounds. It closes them. They all become automatically treated, but it also paralyzes you. So once it's chopped you up, it can paralyze you and then start dragging you out of the scene, which puts a timer for your friends to come and save you. So putting those pieces together, we have a injury-resistant, menacing Terminator-like creature that would probably have a turn that looks something like this. It uses one action to approach one of the players, already pretty scary. Another action to use its grabbing arm to grab them and start suffocating them. Now that's both of its actions. So then the GM would describe that the saw blade raises up and starts whirring. Now the players know that they need to break their friend free of this grasp or they are going to be cut to ribbons. And that use of telegraphing is something that I'm adding in on a lot of threats because it gives the players a chance to coordinate and telegraph some horrible fate that their friend will befall. So if they're unable to break free, then that saw blade is going to saw off an arm or a leg, which will terrify everybody nearby, and then it will inject them with this corrosive, horrible oil, and then start walking out of the scene with them. So it's a pretty gnarly enemy, and I like the way it's turned out. The Blood Oilers have playtested very well overall, and there's still a lot of little tweaks and iterations I'd like to make on them, but they have been quite terrifying and very deadly in the right way. They snap the players to attention. When a Blood Oiler comes into a scene, they know they need to coordinate together and take it down before it can get its hands and saw blades on any one of them or maybe some nearby folks, some innocent bystanders that it will try to steal. And what makes them so scary is they're not actually trying to defeat the players, they're trying to kill them. They're just trying to mutilate them and tear them apart, but then steal them away for a fate worse than death. And the players read this right away, and it creates a lot of tension. Now, last but certainly not least, I want to talk about the art that was made for the Blood Oiler. This is by the incredible artist, Dr. Neri, which there will be a link below to his Instagram page. I have worked with him on several pieces here for the Clockworld setting. He is amazingly talented. Definitely check out his page. Commission work from him. He's incredible. The detail he added to this design from my fairly straightforward description is awesome. It was his idea, for example, to add the plating to the Blood Oiler's body and make it look like it's oil drums. That is an incredible detail that I just never would have thought of, and really shows why working with professional artists skilled at a genre, as he's a talented horror artist, really can elevate a piece to a whole nother level. And I'm excited to share more of his artwork on this channel because every commission he has made has been out of this world. So I'm going to put the art up on the screen for just a minute here and just let it sit so you can watch it at the end, but please do like and subscribe and check out the other videos. We're really excited about this game and So excited that all of you have had an interest in it. It's been an absolute blast. So go ahead and admire his artwork here for a moment, and I'll catch you all at the next video.